The pain of losing a child is unimaginable, but losing 4 at once? That's a lifetime of sorrow. For years, Mrs. Abimbola carried the burden quietly. She buried her children and even tried to continue life. But the pain never left her. She even wrote a memoir with the help of her son, Chandel, trying to honor her children's memory. This was when everything changed, just like that. While reviewing old documents and research for the memoir, Chandel noticed something very, very strange. The names of the 2 of his dead siblings, Abayomi and Felicia, were showing up in the UK government records, not as deceased, but as married adults. Married to people who are very much alive and likely living in the UK today. This was not only disturbing, it was impossible. How could 2 children who died in 1973 grow up and marry in the year 2000? Something was wrong, and something is wrong somewhere. Not even in the UK. They began digging. They dug, they dig. What they found was shocking. It appears that someone or even multiple people had used the identity of the deceased children to obtain marriage certificates and possibly immigration papers in the UK. The most concerning case was a man named Sunday Ajibola Babalola, a Nigerian man who had married, the supposed Felicia Abimbola in 1995. But the real Felicia died in a fire when she was just a child. She never grew up. She never got married. Not at all. So, who was this impostor? And who allowed all this to happen? Mrs. Abimbola, now 86 years old, decided it was time to speak out. She didn't want to die without the truth coming out. Mrs. Abimbola said, "I carried these children in my womb. I was there when they died. I buried them myself. How can their name be used like this?" In 1973, Mrs. Ebimomi traveled to Nigeria because she had a telegram call that her father died in Nigeria. And as the first daughter, the tradition is that she needs to go to Nigeria to go and bury her father. But when she got to Nigeria 6 days after, then she also had a call from UK that her house in London has got burned down. By the time she got into the UK now, she now approached people. What happened? Her husband now said, on his way coming back from work, he noticed that there were ambulances, he noticed that there are some fire brigades, and sadly, he saw 4 kids taken out of that house. Already, those 4 kids, they are dead of inhaling carbon monoxide. Mrs. Ebimomi was really, really down. She doesn't know what to do. She cried profoundly. People held her here and there, but she gave everything up to God. That God that provides those ones will provide another one. So Mrs. Ebimomi now took some break. But in 1975, she now gave birth to a new bouncing baby boy again, called Abayomi Shandon. Mrs. Ebimomi tried to name Shandon also Abayomi because the first son that died in the flame, that one was buried Abayomi, and people are used to calling her Mama Abayomi, Mama Abayomi. So she decided to name Shandon also Abayomi. But then in 1976, Mrs. Ebimomi now gave birth again to another bouncing baby boy. But sadly, her husband died. Now, Mrs. Ebimomi now has pain in her heart. Mrs. Ebimomi wants to put everything down so that at least people will learn from what happened to her. Because to some people, when she said the 4 kids, they died inside the house from inhaling carbon monoxide. People are still wondering, is that possible in the UK that you have all those things that Papa is top-notch, fire brigade, fire services, it can happen. And she wants to document all those things, at least for the people that will be coming behind. While she was writing the book, she got to a point and she discovered that those kids that died, that she needs to put the birth certificate and the death certificate in the book as a reference. So she needs something to put in the book, at least for the authenticity of that book. While doing the research on how to get the certificates and also the death certificate, the son, Shandon, now realized that his brother, his late brother that died about 50 years ago. Instead of seeing death certificate and birth certificate, beside it, he now saw marriage certificate. That his brother, who was the first son then, now late, got married few years ago, even divorced and got married again. Is that possible? Dead man's marrying someone. Ha! Okunfe alaye. That one ogbenuton. So, you now find out that even her sister also married to someone else again. Her sister that also died in 1973 in that fire outbreak. Also, the official document shows that her sister is also married to someone else in the UK. This point now, the mom was more heartbroken that something that happened 50 years ago, now suddenly someone is taking advantage of his dead children to live a la vida life in the UK. Mrs. Ebimomi couldn't take this anymore. Now, Mrs. Ebimomi needs justice. Mrs. Ebimomi wants to know who is behind this atrocity. Mrs. Abimbola wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for her children's dignity, for the truth, for justice. Mrs. Abimbola and her son are now calling on the UK authorities to please investigate. They want to know who did this, how was it allowed, and what will be done about it. This case opens a serious questions about how death records are protected in the UK and how immigration loopholes are exploited also in the UK and how vulnerable people like grieving families are violated. Some people believe this stolen identity were used to fraudulently claim British citizenship or even residencies. If that is true, then we are looking at a major immigration fraud case here. But beyond the legal side of it, this is about a mother's trauma being reopened in the most painful way possible. Mrs. Abimbola deserved more than answers. She deserved justice. This story teaches us many things. First, our identity is sacred. To steal the name of a dead child just to gain immigration papers, it's not just illegal, it's evil. Second, systems in both the UK and Africa need better protection. How did the UK government allow two deceased children to be married on record? And how come it took the mother's own investigation for it to be discovered? Come on. And lastly, we must give people like Mrs. Abimbola the respect and dignity they deserve. She is not seeking for fame. She is simply a mother asking for truth before she dies. And we, all of us, must help carry that truth. What do you think about this case? Do you believe the UK authority will act? And how many other ghost families like this exist in the system? Leave your thoughts in the comment. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe to African Black Gold TV, where we bring you real story that matters to Africans around the world. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and never stop asking questions.